So what I thought I would do, I'll just go across the screen. I can see a number of our advisory council members here tonight. So I'm going to start with Richard Mansour, who's one of our dental members. Richard, if you could just, in a few sentences, give us a bit of your background and why you love the Academy so much, what brought you here, and don't say I bent your arm because the guys in Montreal are going to say that. So here we go, Richard Mansour.
Well, yeah, I met David as a military member. Actually, we came over for the conference in Toronto, and I've been involved in sleep since 2000. I did advanced education general dentistry back in 2008, and basically been doing sleep ever since. I did do the mastery program recently, the 1, 2, and 3 with the AADSM as well. And in the military, I was doing a lot of sleep apnea appliances for patients that had CPAPs or were intolerant to CPAPs or were going to be deployed and needed something that they could take with them. So I said I've been doing this for a long time and still learning every day, and looking forward to today's meeting.
Great, thank you, sir. And right beside you is my good friend Jacques Bear from Longueuil, Quebec. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a GP, general dentist in Montreal. I practice with one of the other members of the group, Michel. We started into sleep a while back when we joined David's group a few years ago. We were involved mostly in pain and TMJ problems, but as you figure, they both get to work together. We cannot dissociate sleep and TMJ problem most of the time. So that's my involvement. That's where I started. We're still practicing I still practice general dentistry, so it's not a full-time practice into sleep and TMJ, but we do quite a lot. So when we work with one of the medical advisor, Dr. Balsam here in Montreal.
Good, thank you, sir. And sitting beside you virtually is one of our newest board members, Sharif El-Shiraz. If you could introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Sharif. I just completed my PhD in craniofacial pain and health sciences at McGill 2 weeks ago. I met our friends David, Jacques, and Michelle in London, Ontario, where I did the advanced training in TMD and sleep at Dr. Rawson's office. I've been doing this PhD for 6 years, just getting to know more about the literature and the research that's been taking place. So in January, I'm going to be in charge of the orofacial pain clinic at the Jewish General Hospital in Montreal. And I practice here in Ottawa in 2 different offices.
Excellent, thank you, sir. And welcome, a PhD. Just above you is Joanne Friedman, who was the very first person I met at an ODA meeting eons ago, who said, "What? You want to do dental sleep medicine? Are you crazy?" And she took me under her wing, and the rest is history. So Joanne, welcome.
Thank you. So I've been with DSG Lab for 30 years. I think we've been doing sleep for probably 25 or more of them. So I'm probably the only industry member now, I believe. I'm not sure. Yes. So I see it from the other side. Been really, really hoping to get a Canadian group launched. And I'm really hoping that this little get together gives us some great ideas to push it forward.
Good. Thank you, Joanne. And going down, Michelle Vancelli.
I graduated from McGill in '81. I've been practicing with Jacques for a very long time, and met Sharif when we did our TMD and sleep advanced courses at Dave's place. So Sharif, Jacques, and I have a history together. I'm really glad that Sharif joined us. And Sharif, you will be getting some referrals from these patients that we can't figure out. Well, rack your brain.
Oh,
so,
thank you very much.
We've been doing sleep since about the early 2000s.
Thank you, Michelle. Carlos. Your mic's off.
Okay, there we go.
Good.
Hi, all. I think I'm the only denturist on this board. So for those that don't know me, now you know I'm a denturist. I've been practicing in Toronto for a little over 20 years. Sleep initially was a small part of my practice. And in the last maybe, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years, perhaps, it's become a bigger part. And I'm really enjoying it. I really like that part of our practice. I'm a member of the Academy. I've been a member since its inception. I forget which year that was. Dave will probably tell us. And really happy to be part of the board and represent the denturists.
Thank you. Yes, I think we launched in 2014. We had our first one-day meeting in 2015, I think, which is the year that Dr. Eric Ruby, at the end of the day, told us about his journey as a Lone Star kind of dentist way up in the BC, it's a town, but not Vancouver. So he made quite a long trip to come. And for those of you who were there that day, you'll remember that we ended the day with a little get together and a question and answer period, which I always try to encourage people to do. And the quiet little man in a moment of opportunity put his hand up and said, "This is an amazing thing. I traveled all the way from wherever it was. It took me hours and hours and train rides and flights and stuff. And I'm just so excited to be here. And I'm really supportive and I'll do whatever. And I'm from there. And David's talking about building circles of excellence all over the country. And I'm your guy." And we all went home with a great feeling in our heart. And in March of, now he was semi-retired. So he and his wife would have I think a villa or something in Mexico where they'd spend a number of months in their semi-retirement and come home in the better weather. And one morning they were great athletes and they rode bikes and they did all kinds of things. So typically they would go for a bike ride in the morning. And this one particular day, the two of them were cycling along a fairly curvy road. And as they came to a curve, he heard vehicles coming and he moved his bicycle more to the center of the lane to protect his wife. And around the corner came a couple of young kids in a car, hit him, killed him instantly. And I found out about it sometime later and I was decimated. And in his memory, we started the Dr. Eric Ruby Memorial Award that we granted every year. And this is how it got started. It turned out Dr. Ruby had traveled the furthest to that meeting. And I believe we gave him an award of something, a prize of some sort. And so I decided in his memory, every year we would choose the member who attended our meeting in Toronto, who had come the furthest for that meeting, to be presented with the Dr. Eric Ruby Memorial Award. And it was simply just come to the front and tell us your story. And that person would get a free membership to the next year. And we did that every year, of course, until COVID knocked us out. So that was a special start to our academy. And then, of course, we went into 2-day meetings right up until November of 2019. And many were with us, and we were able to bring some fairly high level speakers to Toronto, some from the States, and many of them we've rehired to be part of our webinar series since we can't be meeting in person. So that was kind of special. And thanks for reminding me about that, Carlos, because that seemed many, many years ago, but we're not that old. So thank you. Now I hope I'm not missing any other board members. I know Dr. Baltzan will not be here. Dr. Sirkin said he might if he can get home in time. So I think we've heard from everybody. So take some time to fill that out. All we're going to do in the next few minutes is just remind some of you who may not have been with us all along what we've done in the last year, and obviously how we're going to go forward. We have had, I believe, 24 biweekly webinars since we started in September of last year. We started off in a slow pace and it became a product that people seem to want. So we have done biweekly webinars since January, had a shorter season in the summer, and then we were back at it since September. We're fully booked until Christmas this year, and we have some potential subjects coming up. That's been the bulk of what we've been able to do because we're all virtual, we're not traveling, but things are loosening out, people are starting to travel. So we're going to start thinking about, are we going to get together ever again? And if so, how? you'll see there are some choices on the polling question. Should we start with 1 day? Should we make it 1 day, then 2? Should we wait till the spring of 2023? That sort of thing. So that's essentially what I want to say. Bianca, could you speak to the rest of the program? Because you've done so much, and I want you to highlight the things you've done and maybe talk about what you've discovered our academy, how our academy stands compared to the ones you've been researching and what you see out there as well.
Yeah, sure. So I guess starting with the webinar series, it's been a bi-weekly series starting last September 2020. We did once a month, I believe, in the summer. I think we only had 3. And then we just came off of a mini series that took us from September right through October. We have Dr. Murong speaking again in 2 weeks, the next webinar, and then we'll finish off with Dr. Michelle Cantwell before the holidays. We're in the process of booking our 2022 schedule. So if you have any ideas of topics that you'd like to see or specific speakers, please let us know. We are in the process of becoming or getting the CACSDD accreditation so that we can offer our members more credits from attending the webinars. I think that's something that really will put us, I guess will set us apart from other organizations, but also get us more attendance, perhaps. We've discussed charging a fee for non-members to join webinars. So we'll see how that works. It would be for a select few webinars, not for everyone. Another series we launched this past September was Ask the Expert, which are shorter recorded videos, about 15-20 minutes long. They're some of there are multiple videos, so more of an episode or mini series. They range in topics from pediatric sleep apnea, diagnostic videos for your practice use, and your own personal education. We've had product and company profiles as well. We do have some upcoming Ask the Expert episodes with Dr. Viviano, who was a previous webinar speaker. I think his webinar was this past January. We also have, Joanne will be hosting a few on the industry side, looking at some COVID health, viral infection, safety. I think it was a robot, safety devices, and then also some other laser and medical products. Lastly, we're trying to build and continuing to build our reference library for you. We currently just have the issues of Journal of Dental Sleep Medicine, but we're adding relevant articles and other research case studies as we go along as well. I guess what else did you want me to talk about, David? There was something.
Well, tell us a bit about your work with branding us in social media.
Sure. So another part of what I've been doing this past year is getting us on the social media platform and a more of an online presence. This is in hopes of building our network. The way social media works in terms of growing, it's similar to an exponential growth where within our own network, so our followers of our academy, including our members and other non-member contacts, when you post something on your account, whoever is in your network will view it or see it at least. And then from there, those followers, we call them, can reshare it to their own networks. And that's how you're continually growing your reach. So how many people are viewing your posts and then clicking through to the website. So we've seen a great increase in website traffic, memberships. And this is one of the reasons we've decided to charge of some fees for select webinars in the future because we're getting so much interest in these clicks through advertising for webinars as well. So if you do see any posts, please share them or like them and interact with them. It really does help grow our network.
Excellent. And I think you told me as well that you're fairly impressed with our offerings compared to what else you've seen out there.
Yeah, so just doing some research between other, I guess, comparable organizations and academies in the US and Canada, a little different in the US, but I've noticed, other than having a PACE AGG accreditation, which is what we're working on, the content or the resources that are being offered in other academies are mostly course-based. But on our end, we have a lot more, until we're able to do that, we have a lot more content-based online activity for you. So the webinar series, the recordings, other resources, and Ask the Expert are all programs that I haven't seen yet, unless it's only the members that are able to see and I wasn't able to access it. But I think if we continue also to build whatever you need, like we're happy to continue growing this content-based online for you. So hopefully tonight and in the future at any time, you can contact us with ideas of programs you'd like to see. That could be separate programs than what you're already seeing, or can be feedback and advice for speakers and topics. And also importantly, I think it's helpful to know what type of delivery you'd like to. So if you prefer print articles and documents for protocols, or if you prefer audio files or recorded videos or live webinars, the way that you want to interact and use the content is equally important for us to know, so that we can provide something better for you to benefit from.
Great, thank you, Bianca. We're now going to go to the open forum, and it's going to be a first come, first served basis. If you look on the icon on the bottom of the screen, it says Reactions. If you click on that, you'll see a little hands up that you can click on, and Bianca and I will be watching for it. First up, there's just whatever you want to tell us. You can heap praise on us as well, but we'd like to know, what is it that you would like us to think about? Who are the speakers that you've come across? What are your ideas? This will supplement what we're getting in the poll, but this is meant to be an open forum, and it's fully recorded, so we'll have a chance to look at this again. So who wants to be the first person in the open forum to step up and give us your feedback?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for setting up this meeting, everybody. This is fabulous. This organization is amazing. I have learned so much from everybody, especially you, David, you being my ultimate mentor. Amazing. And I love treating all of my patients with sleep disorders. We truly make such an impact on the quality of their life. It's the best part of my practice, treating sleep disorders. I'm not too sure what you're looking for today, David, but for me personally, there are a few things. One is there some kind of a forum where I can send questions about some of my complicated patients and have a few people weigh in and give me some advice, direction, give me some articles to read, videos to watch? And a lot of it is, some of it is psyche, some of it is just simply like I'm stumped. I just don't know what to do with this patient. And I'd love to be able to send an email to a group and say, can somebody help me with this?
Well, I don't want to cut you off, but that's an excellent question. And one of my frustrations is on our website, we started I don't know if chat box is the right word, but I'm so technically insecure, I'm not even going to try and go to the website, but we do have a place in the members only section to start asking questions. And sadly, it never got looked at, but that would be an excellent idea. We have an advisory board of all specialties covered, so you could ask any kind of question. The mechanism, we would just have to oil it a bit so that, and this would be Bianca's job to figure out how to do it. When Pramila sends in a question, how does it get alerted to, say, all the advisory board members who could add or not add, depending on what the question was? So tonight is actually a virtual version of that, but that's been there since day one. And as hard as I worked on the whole academy, there was parts of the website were just dead, and that's one of the ones that I would like to reactivate. So excellent question. I'm always happy to work with you one-on-one, but I'm just one guy. If it's a medical question, hey, we got two physicians, one of whom's a cardiologist in the States, and we all know Mark to be quite well known in Canada. So it could be a question for Joanne, an industry question. So Bianca, let's write that down as a way to rejuvenate that part of our website. I
did go on the website and it had Ask the Expert and it had 3 photos. But I just wanted to ask a general question. I just to just say 10 people in our organization, please read my email, and somebody help me
Well,
with this
I
patient.
understand
And that's the
tot-
kind of stuff I'm looking for.
Well,
Sure.
I understand
think
totally,
I'll work-
but ask the expert as an output from us. You want an input to us, and that's the
Yes.
other part. Across the top of the banner, I believe it's called members only, and then you would go into that, and there was an area to, we even had, sell equipment or buy equipment or talk about office procedure, but there was a place to ask a question. And if we can get that reinvigorated, we just have to find a way for us not to miss it. So if you were to send a question in tomorrow,
Right.
if we choose this, if we choose that all of the advisors get an alert, then any one of us could, or all of us could just put in our 2 cents worth. That's, I think, what you're asking, correct?
That's exact, because I mean, I have an 82-year-old man that I don't know what to do with. I have a 29-year-old young lady. I have a 52-year-old man who's snoring. Like so it's like, oh, I don't know what to do with you. And I don't know where
Well-
to go to get help for that.
Well, that's, Bianca, I don't want to put you in the spot, but is
No,
that
I
something
think
we
it's
can,
great. Yeah, I saw there is an online forum. I know what you're talking about, David. It's very outdated in terms of the technology that.
what? Outdated? Come on.
So I think
Oh,
it's,
no.
and also it's based on you posting a question and it's based on other people actually checking it and
Right.
see if there's something there. So perhaps I can think of a better, more efficient way that you can send it out directly so that you can maybe select what type of experts or even just in general, so that you know that someone's reading it and it'll be more direct.
Yeah, because
We'll work on
sometimes it's hard to know who can help me, right? Sometimes it'll be, I don't know if this is a cardiology problem. I don't know if this is a psychology problem, if it's
Well-
like an osteopath, like I don't, so sometimes you just want to send it out to a bunch of people and somebody just say, oh, I think this is what you can try for this
Okay.
patient, but I don't know what that answer would be.
Okay, so we'll get Bianca to research to modernize it. One of the things that you may not know is that about 6 months ago, all of the speakers that we hired and we actually paid for to come and present, as a small token of ongoing appreciation, we've made them honorary members of our academy and they now get all of our correspondence, and so we could include them on their individual
Oh, that'd be
permission.
amazing. Yeah,
So just think of all the people that have spoken to us. If we include them, you've got the 6 or 8 of us who are all Canadian. Dr. Sirkin is American, of course, but think of the people that we've had as speakers. If they were willing to do it, then you got 20 people.
yeah, and that'd be amazing.
And so the mini speakers, the mini series we had, for those of you who attended, it was a little bit, well, I'm a control freak, so it was a little bit disorganized at some point, because at one place we were joining into a live video in Las Vegas, but
Yes.
each and every one of those people declined an honorarium, but we're very, very appreciative of the fact that we also extended an honorary membership to them, which my intention was it to be an annual, ongoing, so they'll always be at least part of our group. And if we can include them in, the question, they might say, those Canadians, they ask really good questions. Dr. Dennis Bailey in a heartbeat would do it on a Sunday morning. I know he would, and he would probably research it and come up with 15 articles to support his answer. How do we, and if we get that for free, like, how could that not be a good idea? So
Yeah.
that's an excellent point, Pramila. Thanks for knocking it out of the park right away, because that's what we were hoping for. And I see another hand. Dr. Rabowski, Ivana from Niagara Falls.
Hey, Catherine's. Close enough. Hello, everybody.
I knew you'd correct me. My wine is a bit weak tonight, so
I was about saying, you probably remember the ice wine that we all enjoyed.
you're world famous for it. Yes. Okay.
When you were my mentor, and I had the pleasure of everybody else's company, Michelle and Francois and all of us, so many years ago, got me started on this path that I think it becomes a passion to us. It's wonderful. It's great working together with colleagues. It's great having this forum. I want to thank everybody, Bianca, David. It's so appreciated. I have a question, if we can discuss something. Myself and I think possibly even yourself, David, we've used a mute to help improve nasal airflow. What's the backstory why the ENTs are not addressing this? We've got mouth breathers. I've got a patient that if you put duct tape over his mouth, he would suffocate, and he's waiting for OHIP approval to get surgery. And we've got so many other people. They're young kids, open bites, improper tongue position, and they can't breathe through their nose. So how is their tongue ever going to sit on the roof of their mouth?
Right. Is there a specific question that any of us might want to answer, or can we
Why aren't the ENTs doing something? Or is that, what's the backstory? I'd like to understand it. I'd like to see what I can do to work with them if there's anything.
Well, if you attend our next webinar, Dr. Sharon Morong, who's a brand new ENT to Toronto, who presented to us about 2 or 3 months ago, is coming back in December the 1st. And Maria Puja, who's not here tonight, I think, and Dr. Jane is here. He might be a good one to address it to. Dr. Jane, are you hearing us? Or have you left the room? Maybe he's left the room. Let's direct that. Well, if you come next week or 2 weeks from now, Ivana, I'll let you ask her that question directly. But
Sure.
I'm sure we can connect you through Bianca if you wanted to email her personally. My observation, I'm in London, a medical school, a dental school, Dr. Brian Rotenberg, who I think is probably one of the top ENT otolaryngologists who primarily does, pardon me?
Well said, otolaryngologist.
Well, I'm not supposed to say ENT anymore, so you have to gurgle a bit. The waiting list to see Brian is about 2 years in London. Come on, I mean, we can treat hundreds of cases that length of time. Sharon is newer to town. She presented on DICE. She's one of only 3 in Canada. She and I are trying to find a way for me to be in the OR with her to demonstrate what we dentists can do, but the COVID protocols have thrown it all out the window. Her waiting list isn't as long, but she seems to be really keen and wants to build bridges across. So why don't we reach out to her? She may not be as long in the tooth to know the history of it, but we're talking about 2 different systems. We're all fee for service. We're private practitioners. We can do what we want. The docs, unfortunately, are part of the social system. And I don't know how much leeway they have themselves, but it should be addressed at the highest level. So show up in 2 weeks and address that. If you want to reach out to Sharon, in the meantime, I'm sure Bianca can connect you.
I can get you her email as well.
Yeah. Anything else, Ivana, before we move on?
I've sent her some patients and she sees them very readily. I guess it may be a threshold issue. It may be, it's one of those things. I have the utmost regard for her, but I guess to us, it's always going to seem more important, and that it, I guess it's a good discussion to have, maybe to share our points of view with her. And I listened to her. She's a great speaker. She had excellent information last time.
Right. And she'll be here in 2 weeks. Well, let's not forget that we're all private practitioners. We own our own businesses. We can make our own decisions. And the medical people are corporate employees. They work for the government. Bureaucracy never moves slowly. There'll have to be studies. There'll have to be, investigations. I see Sharif nodding his head. Do you have any insight as an academic and a newly minted PhD, Sharif, about perhaps in Quebec? Is it different there?
Well, we haven't been back to practice in Quebec since COVID hit. So they're starting to reopen everything at the Jewish hospital in January. So I don't know anything about ENTs there, but they do have in the hospital ENTs that we refer to. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Is that, Ivana, do you have anything else? No? Okay.
Maybe if I like the idea of having sharing cases or having problems. I think that'd be excellent. I'm not sure how it would work, but we can brainstorm and figure that out.
I have a suggestion, actually. Why don't we have a member only WhatsApp group, and then we add all the members, and you can share all your cases through there.
Now you're
Yeah.
talking social media, you know what's gonna happen to me, eh? I'm gonna run away.
That's a great idea. I can help.
It's easy, and
I
you
know.
can add everybody to it, and you just share your cases through there.
Okay, well, that's what tonight's about. Yvonne, anything else?
I will work on that.
No,
Okay,
I'm like you, David. I'm computer tech challenged, but the chat line or WhatsApp, that does work well. Even I've been able to master that. So there's my vote of confidence for you, David.
Paul Alter, quickly, what's your feedback?
Hi, I belong to a WhatsApp group for some biomimetic dental restorations. It's amazing. I'm learning so much, and you don't realize you're hearing from people all over the world, like Tunisia. It really is something to get that broad perspective on something. So, and it's I mean, people are sending in pictures of their work, and a million people are giving positive comments. So I think it'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's great. Thanks, Paul. Rommel, I see your hand up, or was it always been up? Is that a new hand up?
It's a new one.
Okay, all right, you've got the stage.
Bianca, I was wondering if you could forward different posts that we can like forwards in our Instagram postings and things like that. I would be happy to do that. Something
Sure.
that would be patient-based though, right? Something where patients would be learning something
Okay.
about sleep and TMJ. If you could do that, I would be very happy to
Okay,
put that
great.
on my Instagram post.
Okay, great to know. I will add that to my list.
And I'm
Okay.
just wondering, just general medical dental question, can dizziness be related to sleep disorders, TMJ problems? Can that be the primary cause of dizziness in seniors?
Sorry,
This is really interesting. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I had a severe episode of labyrinthitis. And we're talking about 20 years ago. And it was interesting because I got a mandibular repositioning splint, like a almost an OD3. And I got osteopathic treatment, but I also have a cranial osteopathic distortion that's very asymmetrical. And so I needed, I mean, really I got the dizziness down so much in 1 week that I could drive again. So it's really interesting. The hyoid bone is part of our balance system. When you've got an internally rotated side of the maxilla and you get that treated and you get an alpha appliance to help support that, it can make a huge difference. And I've been through this a couple of times, just personally. So I'm not an expert on alpha appliances. I learned from Dr. Gavin James, but it's been, and we're talking about, 20 years ago, but I found that really invaluable to help it's not just more symmetry, it's helped to, and I always work with an osteopath because you can't look at some casts and figure this out. I just saw a patient today, severe asymmetry, and I won't get into the details, but it's all over the place. And even his left side of his mandible is smaller than his right. But there's been a lot of adaptation that's already occurred. So you can't just look at it. And it was getting a CBCT scan of the cranium with Dr. Petrakowski to see the extent of this and to analyze and assess. But if one of the sides of the maxilla is internally rotated or jammed and it's not free to have the primary respiratory mechanism moving, I've seen this cause dizziness or lack of vertical support, and it can be unilateral. So it's a complex thing. You try to sort it out with your diagnostics, but I can't underemphasize the importance of an osteopathic consult to get their perspective and to get their support in working with us in this area.
Well, that's amazing because, as you know, Yvonne, I've been working with osteopaths for a long time, and finding them and keeping them in your area is a bit of a challenge. But that's another subject. Maybe we could introduce or invite an osteopath to come and speak about the box of bones that houses all the stuff that we're working with.
Yeah.
Can I interject? It's
well,
Carlos.
Absolutely. Where'd you go? Yes, Carlos. Yes,
I'm here.
please.
So we also run a hearing clinic. So I see a lot of elderly people, and often one of the symptoms of inner ear vestibular infections is dizziness. So that labyrinth that's attached to your inner ear that holds the fluids, if it's got an infection, then it will cause a disturbance, and the flow of the fluids in that labyrinth don't run the way they normally do. And so that's where people get dizziness from. For people that have that issue, of course, seeing an ENT is your best option. And then typically what they do, they'll do the consult, assess, and refer them to a hearing and balance clinic. And then there are audiologists, those sort of people that that can treat these people that have this imbalance.
Okay, great. Thank you, Carlos. I forgot about your other interests. I want to take us now to a live discussion about what I have to really face, which is, are we going to have an in-person meeting? And when's it going to be? How long is it? Where do we have it? Just so you know, those of you who get to come to the meetings, the work in the background is such that by January of the year, I've already found a hotel and signed a contract for hundreds of dollars of commitments, rooms, meals, the whole deal, and generally have signed or are close to signing 4 to 5 or 6 speakers to fly in from wherever for a night or two with us and give the presentation. We generally have done well. Some years we break even, other years we make a bit of money, but it's not bought us a lot except our exposure. I haven't reached out to any hotels since COVID, but my guess is if they haven't changed their business model such that it's much more flexible, if I was to sit down with the same hotel in January and say, okay, we want to come back and do it in November, but nobody can predict a 7th wave or an 8th wave. What's going to happen if we do all this and we have to bail? What are you going to hold me to? What's that going to be like? And I don't even know if hotels have thought it through. I know they're all struggling. They've had a terrible time. People are getting back in airplanes. So I'm just going to throw this out. I know it's in the polling question, but I need to hear people say to us tonight how important it is to get back to that. Or can we replace that for maybe another year with an enhancement of this program, which is, I think, higher quality, certainly a lot easier to attend. You can rewatch it whenever you want, and you don't miss a minute in your office. So let's just go around the room. Anybody wants to raise their hand first about their thoughts about what I just talked about? Who wants to go first? And it can be members of the board as well, because you're all here and supportive. So let me throw it out. What are your thoughts about an annual board meeting, an annual in-person meeting? Who wants to be first? Bianca, yes.
I just want to say also, if you're thinking you're leaning more towards no to not having another in-person, let us know how we could replace it online. So if you'd like to have an event like a webinar, Zoom live event, perhaps with multiple speakers or something, in order to get the same, whatever you'd get out of the in-person, but to do it virtually if you think virtually is better for the next year or so. Let us know also how we can make that happen too.
Okay, great, thank you. And of course, please make sure you fill in the polling questions. So I'm going to start picking on people. Oh, Lawrence, we haven't heard from you tonight. Dr. Jones from Guelph. What are your thoughts about us launching in-person meetings? I'm putting you on the spot, I know, Lori, but you're always good to help me out and fill the void. So Dr. Jones is not with us. Okay. Promala, you've got your hand up. What are your thoughts?
I'd be happy with the virtual meeting if it sounds like it's going to be very complicated to do an in-person one. And for me personally, I'd love to have a one-day event. Like I'd like to have speakers that are like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, have a little break so that it feels like I'm part of a conference, but I'm doing it at home. I just find my brain, everything is in line with doing sleep disorders and oral appliances. And it's just sort of nice to carry through a 4-hour, 6-hour day of working with that one theme.
So let me be clear, you're talking about a one-day virtual meeting, is that right?
Yes, 1 day or 2 day, whatever you end up doing. But
But
for
no-
me, rather, yeah, go ahead.
But not in person.
I prefer in person, but if it sounds like it would be really complicated, and then because of the unknown as to whether
Right.
it becomes a problem, if it's just safer to wait another year, I would be fine with that.
Okay, well, that was one of the options in the questions, fall of 22 or spring of 23, which is now 18 months away, which is the exact duration of the pandemic we hope to be ending.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Pramla. Anyone else want to throw in their 2 cents worth about an in-person meeting, or to build on Pramla's thought of a day-long virtual meeting, because that's happening as well, especially in the States. Anybody else? Okay. We're doing a really good job, Bianca, because they don't have any complaints and they think we're doing a good program. Oh, Ivanka, I see your hand up. Okay.
Oops. Can you hear
Yep.
me?
Yeah, I can
Okay,
hear you.
good. Yeah, I would, I agree with that. A day-long Zoom meeting, I think that would be great. And during breaks, we can maybe chat and talk to each other and
Okay.
do it that way. I think as a transition to get back in the meeting.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, great.
I think
Thank
that,
you.
I think that'd be great.
Okay. Richard, I see your hand up. Okay.
I just went to a conference in Ottawa, actually, an in-person conference. There was a Nobel kind of day conference. And I mean, I understand the trepidation maybe for going in person, but you know, it's nice to see people face to face. It's nice to be able to talk and interact. There was a lunch as well. I think maybe I'm just tired of being cooped up, but I would be more in favor of an in-person meeting when the time is right. Obviously, we don't want to push things if COVID is not looking like it's going to cooperate. But as I said, I really enjoyed the 2-day format that we had in Toronto. I don't know if it's time to try Ottawa or Montreal or some other location. But I think probably the big thing is it's really going to be based on travel when people have to, you know, driving isn't so bad, but it's going to be the people that have to fly in, I think, that are going to be probably less likely to want to attend it in person. But I mean, another possible option would be to do almost like an in-person and virtual, you know, to include those people that are not willing to travel. That could be something that we could look at as well. So, but my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We actually tried to do live streaming probably in our 3rd or 4th year, and the technology wasn't there, and the hotel infrastructure was tough, and it just didn't work. But that was meant to be a way to attend and not leave home. My only concern about, and I don't want to come across as against in-person meetings, I just need you to know from a financial perspective, when you sign a contract, that's a deal. And unless the hotel gave a huge opt-out clause 30 days out or something, which would basically let you walk away from it, I would just be a little leery of saying, yeah, I'll have 100 people there and nobody shows up, or the government shuts us down. Heaven forbid there's a huge wave next fall and travel's shut down. I mean, clearly everybody's going to understand, but hotels like to make money and we don't have a lot to lose. Okay, any other hands up? I don't see anybody else. Dr. Jones, Lori, are you with us still, or did you leave? I see your square, but I don't see you or hear you. Anybody? Joanne, do you have anything you'd like to add? You're really experiencing this. You're all over the place. What?
Well, I've also been to some in-person seminars. It was a little scary, but it was a long, you know, it was about a month ago.
In Toronto, or where was it?
In Toronto, yeah.
So you drove,
Yeah.
you didn't fly. You're home at night.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was fine. And we have something coming up next week, and we have very poor registration, and it's because people are still a little bit afraid. And I know for a fact that there's no opt-out clause at hotels.
There you go. That's my whole point.
Yeah. So I think that Pramala's idea is probably good. We can always throw together like a one-day seminar that's not maybe the annual conference. If we feel that everything's opened up, it could just be, you know, a really good speaker, and you just need a couple of months, 3 months ahead of time.
Right.
That could always be done as well. So something just to keep in mind that way.
That's an excellent idea. I think it might be the fact that many of us are perhaps in our later years and maybe are a little afraid of exposing ourselves for whatever reason, and maybe the younger folks would think nothing of it. But I have no intentions of flying anywhere in the next 5 years. I mean, I've done it all. I just don't know if I want to go to San Diego or Phoenix for whatever reason, because you can't trust it. You're in a little aluminum tube for hours and hours, and you know, you made the decision to go, and you have to suffer the consequences. So I'm happy to stay home.
And
Anyone else?
strangely enough, in the US, they think we're crazy.
I know they think we're
They're
crazy.
like everywhere, no masks, no problem.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. And look at the police officer in, I don't know what state, who was dead against vaccinations and is now dead.
Yeah.
And you know, they're firing them by the hundreds. It's insane. That's a different mentality down there. I think there should be a new requirement for a political office that the prerequisite to run for office would be that your IQ should at least equal your age. That might just eliminate some of the people that end up running these darn places. You know what I mean? Okay, so this is moving along really well. We're getting some great ideas, things that even Bianca and I hadn't thought of. I'm just going to throw it open to anybody to put their hands up, tell us stuff, ask us things. I think we've lost Dr. Jones. I've either embarrassed him too much or he's just gone.
I think he was having trouble because I heard him try and speak a few times, but
Oh, is that right?
connection.
Yeah. So do you get to see the poll, Bianca, or am I the only one? Can you pop it
No,
up to see if
it's only on your end for now.
Okay, all right. Looks like we've got 2 chats here. Oh, that was from Promo. Thank you, everyone. Where'd you take your, oh, that's osteopath. I can answer that privately. Elf questions, okay. This is more of a one-on-one kind of deal. Well, I've learned a lot tonight. I'm invigorated to think about how we can reinvigorate our website to take Promla's idea to make our member-to-member chat room work, because that was the whole intention from day one, which is why I handpicked for our advisory board as many representatives of the dental sleep medicine industry as possible. So, Promla, if you had a distinctly medical question with a cardiac overtone, Dr. Sirkin would be there in a heartbeat. And if it was a Canadian medical question, Mark could be there. So that'll be a priority for Bianca and I, which basically means Bianca. We'll figure it out, right? And Paul Alter, I see your hand.
Do osteopaths aren't a regulated profession yet, are they?
No.
Do they have does the college have a problem with us referring to them?
You never want to ask the college anything you don't want to hear the answer to if it's not in your favor. So I'm under the radar. I know how some of the osteopaths I worked with got through on COVID. They were trained as a physio or a massage therapist, and they would bill that service as a massage. And but there are 2 colleges in Ontario, and I don't know if they're self-regulated. They should be by now, Toronto and Hamilton. But to find graduates of those programs with some experience that relates to us is not as easy as you would think. So I tended to work with people that have, like ourselves, were out of the box and figured it out. So just so you're clear, the term craniosacral therapy and osteopathy to me are synonymous, and it tends to be where you got your training. Historically, in the States, who was a gentleman who was an outcast osteopath who formed craniosacral therapy, Dr. John, he passed away a few years ago. He formed the craniosacral therapy branch and trained lots of folks, and the chiropractors got onto it, and they started a program called SOT, sacral occipital. That's like saying you have a restoration that's an MOD, and I did the same one, only I'm going to call it a DOM. You know what I mean? You want to start from the top to the bottom, and so Paul, there's lots of folks out there. I wouldn't ask the college anything about that, unless you have your name in headlights, and I don't.
Well,
Anybody
I
else?
didn't want to ask the college, but it's just if a patient were to complain, and then they come up and they say, you can't refer to non-regulated professions.
Listen, I have been down that road. The less they know about me, the better. The best defense is treat your patients with tons of care and make them understand how much you care. And that minimizes, I think, any potential for a complaint. That seems to be the best way to go. Patients don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's a hackneyed phrase, but I try to live by that every day. And if I can bring some care to people that they didn't expect, I'm hoping that reflects, hopefully, positively on how they might think about what we're doing. Okay, we're losing people here a little bit. Let me see. Richard spoken. Michelle, do you have any thoughts about tonight's topics? I didn't put Longueuil in as a center for a meeting, but I'm sure you put us up in your backyard if we came. I've embarrassed him now. Yeah, Michelle.
Well, I joined the Société Dentaire de Montréal this year.
Okay.
Because basically they were giving courses online live, and you were able to access them up to a month after it was given. And it's been very good. They've had sometimes there were 2 speakers at the same time. Some days it was like a whole day, and sometimes it was only half a day or in an evening. So that seems to be working out, I think, quite well. And like you said, you're not going anywhere for quite a few years. A lot of people are kind of hesitant to travel and things. And most likely, I think that would be our route for next year for sure. I think we should still do something online, like a full day. Somebody takes a Friday or a Saturday, whatever, and have might be 1 or 2 speakers. We don't need to have 10 speakers and be a whole weekend. Nobody wants to do this a whole weekend when you're looking at a computer screen all day. So like a full day, 2 good speakers and things. And I think that would be, like I said, the route to go.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And sorry for putting you on the spot, but.
No, it's not on the spot. It's okay.
Okay. All right. So let's ask Carlos for his thoughts.
I have 2 questions. They're sort of thoughts, but questions also. Do we have, I should know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do we have a section in our website that is called Find the Provider? So if somebody goes to our website, we don't. So I think we should, and we should have that contact information on there too.
Okay, so would that be public facing only or members only? That's the problem.
Well, I think it should be members also. So this is sort of an
incentive
but I mean, for people.
Okay, carry on. Sorry.
No, I maybe I misunderstood the question. I think anyone that's a member of the Academy should be on there so that if someone's looking for a provider in their area, they can get a hold of them.
Right. There are a number of websites, mostly American, I've seen that at the homepage you can find a member or a provider of that type of care. So that's what I meant when it was a non-member. It's a public window, I guess. Bianca, can you speak to that? Because you're the technical wizard on that. Do you understand what Carlos is asking and what I'm trying to rebut with?
Speaking of what you're thinking of on those websites, David, so that people, when they come to our website, they can search for a provider, and the list of our members who are interested in putting their information out there for business, I guess, can be available to those who are doing the search.
Okay.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And can we track, do you have an idea off the top of your head how many non-healthcare people have we attracted any non-dentist or non-healthcare people to any of our social media or website? I wonder.
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Patients. Has that happened?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't know if it's a patient, but
right.
Non-dentists or non-industry I've seen. Yes.
Right. Yeah, we should think about that. That'd be a great idea. Okay, Carlos, that's great. Thank you.
Second question. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Have we ever considered bringing on a respirologist onto either our committee or to our committee? Probably committee would be the best spot for them.
Or would there be interest for a webinar for a?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. So
And-
you mean a medical
Respirology.
specialist in respirology, not a RSPG, not a sleep tech, but you mean an actual physician specialist?
Not necessarily a physician, the ones that are fitting people with CPAP machines that are.
Okay. Okay. What
Do you
would be
know
the
any of them?
what would,
Do you
what
know
would
any
be the advantage of bringing a CPAP devotee to our audience, Carlos?
Well, CPAP people see the same patients. And so for those that are not successful, they
Right.
have
Okay.
an option.
Yep. No, I was just trying to flush that out so you would say that. Okay, that's great. Anything else, Carlos?
No.
Okay. Gosh, our attendance is dwindling here. Paul, you always are our thought-provoking fellow. What have you, in a few short sentences, can you add anything to the subject tonight that we haven't thought about? Paul? He's trying to
Yeah,
find
I'm
the
here.
mute switch. There you go.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the first 25 years where I wanted to treat sleep, because I had my own problems with sleep, and I had a device, and I was still tired for another 10 years. And nobody had answers. And because nobody could answer why I was tired, I didn't feel that it warranted me treating anybody else until I met you and you mentored me and encouraged me to start the TMJ in sleep. And then everything just made sense. And now I get those hugs that you talked about. And
That's the best payment.
yeah,
That's the best payment.
but it's there's such a difference in the success for someone who doesn't do tons of it. I get great success when I do both together, but I don't when I do one and only have like one idea that may just be a coincidence as to why. But there just seems to be such a big difference, and there's got to be people who have done a lot of both, and maybe they have more to offer about why both together work to me better than just the sleep alone. Or does that mean most people are having TMJ inflammation and need to be decompressed and they don't know it?
Well, if you're asking me for my response, being an owner of a TMJ and sleep therapy center, I think I used to think in those dual tracks, but now I basically evaluate every patient and decide which of those two is the bigger problem. And when I figure that out and treat that, the other problem seems to diminish to the point where people are happy and they don't want to go any further. So generally if you fix sleep, you fix a lot of stuff. A lot of the nighttime bruxism goes away, and they wake up, they're refreshed, they're not depressed, they're not lethargic, they're better partners, they're better parents. And the TMJ issue that I used to think was the center of the universe, because don't forget, I'm old enough to have started this before we dentists thought about sleep, other than what we did at the end of a long day after a meeting in Phoenix. So airway is obviously prime. When you fix that, often the TMJ issues aren't as critical. In other words, when you give patients a life that they didn't know was possible or they forgot they had, and you give it to them non-surgically, totally reversibly, relatively easily, and from my biased position, very cheaply, they're just so happy they forget about the click and they forget about the headache that they get once in a while. And so my question is that not a good service? They can always come back, they get a punch in the face, fall down playing hockey, and actually have a true jaw problem. But I think they're so intertwined that pick the bigger one, fix it as best you can, and you will have succeeded to bring patients a level of health that they never dreamed possible.
I've had so many different appliances. And like I said, I was tired through all of them. And all of them were made with, and I'm not being a snob, with a George gauge. But when I finally got one,
a George gauge, oh my God.
when I finally got one made with phonetic bite and laser,
3D thing.
then everything stopped. And I mean, sympathetic dystrophy at night. I mean, that's really scary. And it just stopped in one night, and it's never come back in 6-7 years. And so I wonder if that might be the big difference between what your success is, because you're doing phonetic bites and others aren't. Because to me, if you move the joint in a non-physiologic way, that's got to be inflammatory altogether. I mean, your brain has to know that it's not, but I can't prove it.
This was an unpaid testimonial about what I just said. Thank you, Paul. Anybody else? I don't want to belabor this. Bianca, is there anything else that you thought of that we didn't cover tonight?
No, but I do see Richard's hand is up. I don't know if.
Oh, I don't even see. Oh, sorry, Richard. Yeah, your little gold hand. It's covered over by your bookcase. I'm sorry. Richard.
That's okay. I'm used to being forgotten. It's all good.
Oh, yeah, right. Those Army guys. Yeah, right. Okay.
Well, ex-Army now, ex-Army. Just as a reference point, the AADSM, and I know we don't want to associate with them, but they do have actually a good tab there. It says for patients. And then when you click on it, it has find an AADSM dentist. So, I mean, we could certainly have something similar to that where it says find an, a CACSDD dentist. And then they've actually got resources for patients as well. So that would be something, and I don't know how we would maybe increase our hits or have that come up on a search. If somebody said alternatives to CPAP, it'd be really nice for us to have an ability for them to find this website and maybe go to this tab for patients and have some resources for them that say, if you're CPAP intolerant, did you know there's another option, But I think if any of the members want to take a look at the AADSM website, there is that for patients section. And so that might be something that we could look to incorporate on our website.
That's exactly what Carlos brought up. And I was talking around about a tab on the website, find a practitioner. Does that make it a little clearer, Bianca, in terms of the football we've been kicking around? Okay. Thanks, Richard. Anything else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, Richard's done. Okay, Paul, question. Short one, please.
How do ENTs recognize tongue ties as being something worth correcting, or are we the only ones, if we in fact even know to look for it? Because I just finished 6 months in a pedo practice, and now I'm gone. And I would say maybe I saw 10-12% of the kids who either were young and got into teenage, and all of the constriction and everything else as a result of the tongue tie. And the pedodontists have never noticed these things because he's older.
Well, if you look at our Ask the Experts section, you'll see an orthodontist, a pediatric-oriented orthodontist speak about that. And if you come 2 weeks from tonight, you'll have a chance to ask Dr. Morong directly that. I can't remember her topic. Do you, Bianca, know what her topic is? Sharon Morong. I don't want to try and get rid of the screen, but she's. So Bianca is multi-talented. She can do that kind of stuff without me losing my screen.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Yes, I have it here. It's focus on sleep health, helping our patients optimize their sleep.
There you go, Paul. There's a chance for you to ask the question. I'll make sure I'll make sure the chair recognizes Dr. Paul Alter in the Q&A session 2 weeks hence. Okay, good. Thank you, folks. I don't want to belabor this, but if we keep beating the bush, we seem to have more things fall out. So let me go to Sharif. Any ideas? You sit on the other side of the Ottawa River. What's your aspirations for your practice? Where would you like to go? What do you think the future holds for you and dentistry?
Me, I'm in the next 5 years, I'm going to be phasing out into academia. So that's where I want to be.
Oh, okay.
5 years from now, yeah. Well, 4 years as an associate professor and 1 year private practice, 1 day, private practice, and 4 days teaching.
So if you hang on with us long enough, we'll change your title to professor.
No.
How's that?
Not yet, no, no.
No, I say if you hang on long enough, when you become a
Oh,
professor.
long enough, yes.
Yeah,
long
yeah,
enough,
yeah, yeah. Well, you know,
20 years or so, yes.
you know, we don't have too many members on the call, but you know, your salary as an advisory is increased by 10% a year. So, you know, just do the math, and 5 years from now, you'll think, wow, that was a cheap way to begin. Right. Okay, Pramila, any final thoughts or questions? You're always good with incisive thoughts. Bianca will confirm that this will be recorded and be on our website, correct?
Yes.
We'll just put it in the webinar page section, I guess, will we?
Sure. And Sharif has been helping me with his suggestion for the WhatsApp group. So I'll be sending out an email to the members so that we can get their numbers if they're interested. And then we can add them to the WhatsApp private.
Okay. And last but not least, Dr. Alter, I'm going to give you the closing opportunity to bring some greetings or ask or give a final short comment, please.
Just kudos to you and your team for doing something I didn't think was possible.
Really?
Yeah, great. Well, your in-persons were so good. I didn't think that this could measure up. It's still like in person, but next year, hopefully.
Yeah, well, you know what they say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I got to let you know, folks, this would not be anywhere what it is if it wasn't for Bianca. She works tirelessly. I mean, I push her all the time with ideas, and she comes back with a way to fix it. This technology is changing, I'm sure, by the day. There's a new platform, there's a new whatever. We're on Zoom, we're doing all kinds of stuff. We just want to be the best that we can be for you. And we want you to tell your colleagues so that we can continue to be Canada's premier academy for dental sleep medicine. So on that note, I think I will thank you all very much. Remember, 2 weeks from tonight, Dr. Sharon Morong, who spoke to us before and is gaining a lot of popularity, will be with us again. And then there'll be one more presentation that's on our website. And very soon we'll be posting dates for January. So we are going to continue with our bi-weekly Wednesday webinars and start to implement some of the ideas that came to us tonight. So without you folks, we wouldn't have those ideas. Continue to send anything to myself or Bianca, whose contact information is in the chat box. You all know who I am and where I am. Give me a call anytime, and you know I'll always return it, and we'll have a good talk. So with that, thank you so much, folks. We'll see you live in 2 weeks when we have another great presentation from Dr. Sharon Morong, ENT of Toronto. Night, folks. Thanks so much.
Thank you.